Hello and welcome everyone to our Rebel Studio Facebook Live series. We are at episode number 11. And today I have someone who's going to come on and talk to us about trademarks. So before I bring on our guest for today, I'd just like to welcome you if you're here and watching the replay after this. And I would like to also say hello to all of you who's watching this from wherever you are. My name is Krista Gun, and I'm from Reebok Studio. I'll be your host for today's show. So in today's show, I'm bringing on Rebecca Chong. And for most of you who know about our Facebook Live series, you would also know that usually it's held at 4 p.m. Every fortnight. On a Thursday. But today we are having it at 11 a.m. So it's a little bit of a switch up in time because our guest comes all the way from the US. So we will let her tell us a little bit more why she's there. Rebecca Chong is a Malaysian. So I am going to put her on first and so she can say hello to all of you.
Hi.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Krista. Hi, everyone.
What time is it over there? Even though it's 11 a.m. here.
It is now 9:02 p.m. on Wednesday night. For you, it's Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
for us, it's Wednesday.
I'm talking to Rebecca from the past.
Yes. How interesting. Yes, you're right.
It's like time traveling. I always find that it's quite fascinating sometimes that with all these time zones. I mean, virtual is great. I mean, I love the fact that we are able to do this virtually. You don't have to fly back to Malaysia. And you probably can't fly back, right?
No way I can do that.
Virtually, we are able to do so many things. And even though it is different time zones. So we are here with Rebecca Chong. And before I get into introducing her, I want her to introduce something that she has been reading this week.
Okay. Okay. I've been reading this book, if you could see. Yeah. It's Just Listen by Mark Goldstein. I haven't completely complete with the book, but it's so amazing because this guy is a psychiatrist, and he is also a trainer to FBI and police who deals with hostage situation. So basically, what they're saying is that most of the time we don't listen. We might think we listen, but we don't. And also, this book guides us in how to turn your enemy or someone who is in a very angry situation and turn it around into listening to you instead. So his techniques are very, very good, and it applies not only in our daily lives but also in business. So so if you wanna approach a very tough corporation or clients, right? Your potential clients, and how are you gonna do that? You know, they are big guys, and how are you gonna make them buy in? That's the key word, buy into your idea and listen to you, because most of them is just I don't need it, or I have my lawyers to do it, or I have other your competitors who are already dealing with it. So how are you going to convert that? So this is a very great book.
Okay, so Just Listen. So later we're going to put the details in the comments. So for those of you who missed out on that, okay, before we start, I also want to have a quick announcement, just a quick one before I forget. For those of you who have asked us as in me and Nick and Rebel Studio, to come up with some virtual classes. So we actually do have one coming up in September. So for those of you who are interested in this class, please let us know. You can PM us, because we actually will be doing one titled Developing Your Marketing Foundation. So this is something that we are doing because people actually asked us, because when we are doing a lot of things to do with marketing. But I think one of the key things that people don't understand is when you're dealing with marketing, you have to have a strong marketing foundation. And so that's why we're doing this. As for those of you interested in the class, please let us know, and then we will let you have the details. Okay. Before that, so after you've talked about your book, I want to talk about my book. Yay. Okay. So this is the book called Zilch, The Power of Zero in Business by Nancy Lublin. So she's the CEO of Do Something and the founder of Dress for Success. So why I brought this book on is because I'm reading this book. And at the same time, incidentally, it ties in with what we want to talk about today, right? Trademarks and all that. Yeah. So this book is interesting because she runs nonprofits. And if most of you who know about nonprofits is they start off with really, really little capital or funding. So what they need to do is they need to do a lot more with a lot less. So the cute thing about this thing is you see at the top here is less buck,
more bang.
More bang.
So cute.
So which actually encapsulates what the book is about. She's telling, she's showing how we can do a lot more, even if you don't have that much. And I think that applies to a lot of even small business owners, you know. Small business owners just started, lack of funds. What can we do? So if you can get this book. Very interesting examples also. Okay, so let's get into the business of talking about trademarks and more. Right. Okay, but first, let me say hello to all these people who have turned up today. If you're here, please say hello. Let Rebecca know, who you are, so at least we know. Hi, Daniel. He has read. I guess he has read the book. Just listen. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think he has read
the same hairstyle.
We do. I don't know. We do. Daniel, do you do? Okay, thank you, Daniel. And hi, Malar. Hi, Vimi. Great that you are here. I think Rebecca, you know her, right? You know Vimi and Mala. I'm not too sure you know, but Vimi, I think you.
I don't think. Do I know?
No, I think you do. Okay. So let's get started. Since
sure.
We want to get into a lot of things today. So before we get started, I want to introduce Rebecca a bit. So Rebecca is the co-founder of Gordian Consultancy. So for those of you interested to know why it's called Gordian, you can check them out at their website. Do you talk about that in your website?
No.
Okay.
It's very easy. You just Google Gordian. Then you know all the stories.
Okay. So Rebecca. Yeah, so that's where the question mark comes in. For those who don't know, go and Google it, or you can always drop her, a PM and ask her about it.
Sure.
So Rebecca specializes in the prosecution of trademarks locally and internationally. She handles office actions, oppositions, and any issues that may arise during the trademark registration process. As the taipan of the Pearl of the Orient. Now you're no longer in the Pearl of the Orient. By the way, you're in New Mexico, right?
Yes, I am.
You're Mexico, US. So I guess you're a taipan of New Mexico then.
I don't dare to take that title. No, it's too heavy.
So Rebecca is no stranger to negotiations. No wonder you're reading that book. And dispute resolutions. Especially in relation to the use of commercial brands and trademarks. Now, aside from trademark matters, Rebecca also advises clients on various areas of intellectual property, such as geographical indications, copyrights, and designs. Now, for me, I have a question mark. What is geographical indications? So you can go into that later.
Yeah.
Okay. Rebecca began her legal career in the conveyancing department of an established law firm. Having gained valuable experience dealing with tangible real property, Rebecca turned to intangible intellectual property, where she soon found her calling. So prior to joining Gordian and starting Gordian, Rebecca has worked in 2 IP firms in Kuala Lumpur, where she gained extensive experience in handling trademark hearings, oppositions and settlements, as well as enforcement matters pertaining to geographical indications. So outside of IP, so this is the interesting part. Outside of IP, Rebecca is a skilled body art painter and a massive trachea. So tell us, what is that? Skilled body art and massive trachea together?
Weird, right?
Yeah, I know. Really, really weird.
When I was in college, I used to work as a face painter, as
Oh,
part-time job to get pocket money. So I do face painting.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Okay, and you're a major trachea. All the
I
trachea fans here must be very happy.
I hope
Whoever
there
you
are
are,
some. I hope there are some. I don't know.
so whoever you are, please raise your hand. Are you a major trachea like Rebecca
It's
too?
a rare find actually. I would love to meet Trekkies.
I know another person who's a trachea.
Who?
This friend of mine, she draws. I don't know if this
Okay.
is drawing. Yeah, she draws,
Uh,
but she's a big major trachea. Okay, so welcome Rebecca to our Facebook Live series.
thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's start by talking about what you do. Okay,
Okay.
so what do you do? Uh, because that introduction was, yes, that's an introduction, but what exactly do you do?
I do a lot of things.
Okay.
Because as a co-founder of Gordian, so practically I have to do um, the getting the sales and marketing part of it, and also in assisting clients where they need to search, they need to file the application, or when they have some problems, legal issues, or anything relating to IP. So they'll come to me or to my partners, and we will sort them out. And yeah, basically it's from start to end of it. Yeah,
Okay.
until our clients get certification of registration. So yeah.
Okay. So today we would like to talk about trademarks too, because we want to start off by talking about that, and also uh, telling those people around us, maybe we're not too sure, right? Even sometimes I myself not too sure. What would you mean exactly when you talk about trademarks?
Okay. Put it simply, trademark it could be a name, it could be a logo, picture, graphic logo, it could be a combination of it, it could be a tagline. Yeah, so it could be all this jumble up, and as long as something that indicates your goods, and it sets apart your goods or services from those from other traders. So, for example, the most common one is Nike, McDonald's, KFC. So they are the indication. They link your business, or rather your entity, and the goods and services that you're providing. So when people see the logo, they know what to expect from you, or what they are actually buying or engaging. So basically, that's it for trademark.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have people joining us now. Hi, Kaniza. Now, Kaniza was our guest in the last two, I think from the last two Facebook Lives. Hi, Kaniza. So she says, hi, watching from Kuantan. I have a few registered trademarks. Keen to hear more. Okay, Kaniza,
Sure.
let Rebecca know what questions you have. You
Yeah.
can type them in, and I'll pull them up for Rebecca to help you with some of them. Okay. So, okay, now that we know what a trademark is, so let's talk about it in relation to businesses, because it's definitely very important to business owners. And as we had spoken about before we got on this Facebook Live a couple of weeks ago, you were saying that it's majorly important for startups.
Majorly.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us why.
Okay. Usually when people say, okay, come buddies, let's start a business. So you have your name, you have your business name, you register whether it's a SSM or a business entity. So after that, what do? You start thinking about branding. And I think a lot of business owners, they don't mind dumping money into branding, creating brands, or making the logo look nice and all this stuff. But what they don't know is that are those brand names that they think of actually available to be registered? Are you allowed to even use those names in the first place? Using those names that you thought of, are you infringing another person's rights? You see, a name you could think of, and it sounds good. It looks very attractive, but there are some legal requirements, so to speak, in terms of trademarks. Okay, that you need to look into. The basic or the most important is whether you're allowed to even use it. That's one thing. And another thing is, okay, then you put in so much time and money into building your brand, and you want to protect it. I'm sure most of us have insurance for our cars, for our house, for our lives, right? And I believe that for a lot of business owners, your business are like your babies. They are your everything. You dump in so much in it. And don't you want to protect it as well? You know, it doesn't make sense to me that your sweat and blood and you're not going to do anything about it, you know? And so, okay, so one day you say, okay, I wanna protect my brand, but it may not be protectable. You know, it may not be protectable because there are, like I said, there are some legal requirements you need to have in order to be trademarkable for your brands. So that's something that you need to really consider. That is why it is very important for whoever wants to start up your own businesses to really think it through and consult the IP agent. Ask them questions. They are always free to give you advices and to point you to the right direction, actually. Yeah.
So what about those criteria? For instance, like just now you mentioned, you need to have to fulfill some certain criteria, right, before that name or that brand can be trademarked.
So basically there are, okay, we can break it down to whether are you infringing another person's right. If you don't do a search, a trademark search, okay, you won't be able to know whether the proposed mark that you want to use or the proposed name that you want to use are actually already belonging to another entity.
Okay.
So
this is way before you even start your business.
Yes. This is best done when you are in the planning stage. Okay. What I like to do most of the time with those SME or those startups, especially when they're at the planning stage, I would tell them, give me the list of what you have in mind. What are the names? What are your design that you like or that you think you might want to use? And then I'll run it through. And what we'll do is we'll talk about whether, you know, is it registrable in the first place? Because to be registrable in the sense that when you want to file an application, there are criteria, such as your mark must not be descriptive of your products or your services.
Okay, give us an example. What do you mean cannot be descriptive?
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Okay. So
a lot of people actually ask me, then how do they actually get their registration? Well, because they have been in the market for so many years, and people somehow can associate Kentucky Fried Chicken with this, with the goods and with the entity.
Okay. So what about Penang Char Kway Teow?
What do you think? What do you think?
I don't think so, lah. Right?
Right. Why you don't think so?
Well, it's very common. I mean, the word Char Kway Teow, right?
Correct.
And Penang is like doesn't belong to you, right? I mean, it's not my Penang unless it's my Penang.
Exactly. So you see that you think it this way: if the registrar were to give you monopoly, okay, to the term Penang Char Kway Teow, which means to say no other Char Kway Teow uncle can actually use the name to describe their food. That's such a poor thing.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
does it mean that if I tweak the first word, would that help to make it more registrable? Instead of Penang, I put Krista's Char Kway Teow. I don't know. Could I do that? I mean, is that even possible? Put my name.
You could use Krista, but Char Kway Teow is non-registrable
At all.
at all.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. Because like I said, all these IP rights, okay, what they do is they give the owner the exclusive rights, the monopoly rights
to use it.
Yes. That is why it's so special. Okay. So if they were to give you that kind of rights to Char Kway Teow, really no other people can use it. So what are they gonna call? You get what I mean? So this is the logic behind the legal requirements of why your brand name must not be descriptive.
Okay. So let's take a quick break, because I see that Kaniza has put on a comment. So she says, spot on, Rebecca. I had Kebun Kota, its logo, and Roots logo trademarked and registered, but it was a lengthy process and time consuming, almost a year. It delayed the launching of our products. Does it necessarily need to take that long? Okay, let me just pull up her comment.
Actually, a year is considered very fast. So congratulations. Usually it will take easily up to 2 years, and that is if it's a smooth registration. Because if your mark is descriptive, or if it is similar, another point that we will talk about also. If there is any issues that the registrar object, then it will take more than a year, more than 2 years. To get it registered. Like some of my clients, it has already been more than 2 years, and I still haven't get their reply. So if you obtain your registration within a year or so, it's really, really, really good. Yeah, it's very, very fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but why does it take so long?
Because of the backlog. And because we have very limited trademark registrar or examiners. So you imagine we have, say, about 30, 50 of them. And the whole country is
in Malaysia. You're talking about Malaysia,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Malaysia.
Yeah.
So it's all the backlog.
And it's done manually.
It's done manually.
So you don't run it through a computer or a system or software to quickly do it for you.
No, because the reason why it takes so long is because they have to do a search on the application, on the mark.
Yeah.
And then they have to consider whether your mark satisfy the legal requirements. So that is why, and it's on a case-to-case basis.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like you apply, chop, and you get your certificate. It's not like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about the first one, right? Kentucky Fried Chicken. So what's the second one? Criteria.
For example, it must be distinctive.
Okay.
That means it must be unique.
Okay, that is hard, right? I mean, what do you mean by distinctive and unique? So does it mean like it's a name that you make up, or something that's not a common word in a dictionary? Is that what you mean by distinctive?
Yes. Okay, so trademark, basically you could break it down into those that is very strong mark, and these are the best type. Okay, we call it the coin or invented words. For example, Google. Okay, those are very, very good marks. And then you have suggestive mark, which is average, because even the court agrees that, you know, not every human being can come up with
unique,
very unique or coined mark. Okay. Yeah. So the court actually allows, you know, certain leeway, gives certain leeway that, okay, your mark can be a little bit suggestive, but it must not be, it must not have direct reference to your goods and services.
Wow, that's really, I mean, how do people actually, okay, can you give an example of that? Like, it's distinctive, unique, but cannot be like too descriptive of your product.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
It's hard. No wonder people like go crazy trying to think of a name for a brand.
Correct. It is definitely not easy. Suggestive. For example, what do I have? Okay. I have one case last time I dealt with Lacto 5.
Okay.
Lacto 5. Yeah, it's a very famous probiotic.
Okay.
So the registrar raised objections, and they said that, you know, lacto, it's descriptive. You know, so my argument was that it may bear some, it may be suggestive to what
the product is.
Yes. Yeah. But it does not bear the direct reference to it.
So it's like can be direct. That's why it means suggestive, right? It means like kind of like a little bit of a tease, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's not. For example, I love that brand. You remember last time Queen's Bay they have this swine.
Yes.
I love that brand. Okay, I love it. I love that trademark. It's S.wine.
Yeah.
Okay, but you read it swine. So so that mark, that kind of mark, is somewhat suggestive, but you play around it and it doesn't bear direct reference to it.
So it's basically you're trying to say that have to be a little bit clever.
Yes.
And very creative. And play around with the words that suggest what you offer, but doesn't exactly tell you directly what it is. Right? It's kind of suggestive. Okay.
That is
so. I think have questions now. So Kaniza says, "Wow, there I was complaining." Thank you, Rebecca. So she thought 1 year was a lot of time.
Oh, I get it all the time. My client is like, "Why is it so long? Why is it so long?"
We have to be. So I guess for all of you who are listening or watching this, just to be prepared that it's going to be a lengthy process. 1 year is considered fast. So 2 years is what? Normal?
2 years is normal. 2 years is normal. Okay. Very normal.
Okay. Mala has a question. Mala asks, when we trademark our company name, brand, product names, etc., can we apply it to a region, or does it need to be country by country? Now, that's a good question, Mala.
Okay.
Because,
trademarks are actually IP rights. They are territorial, meaning if you file and register in Malaysia, your protection is only valid in Malaysia. So let's say if you trade in other countries, you should also go there and file your application there. So, but of course, like if you are targeting Europe, okay, Europe, they what we call a European trademark, whereby they recognize the entire European countries. So you only have one application. You don't have to go to the individual European countries to do it.
Okay, but that's only for Europe.
Yes, that's only for Europe.
Okay.
And other countries you have to go individually. But also right now, another platform you could use is, which is also individually, but it is less expensive, is what we call the Madrid Protocol. but of course you still have to pay, but it's not as much. I would say it's not as much, but this is it's a platform where you can designate whichever country that's the members. Right now there's about 122 countries in their list, so you could actually apply one application where you select those countries, and there are certain fees, official fees, which you have to pay.
But in their currency, or is a US dollar kind of? What sort of currency do you pay?
Swiss franc.
Oh, Swiss. Okay.
Yeah, because it's in Geneva.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would be more efficient if you are targeting a lot of other countries.
Okay.
Otherwise, you go country by country.
So I think there's a follow-up of her question is that, for example, if I like to register a consultancy called SEA Brand Consultancy, as it covers this region, would it be possible to register in Malaysia, but okay for use across the region?
SEA, you may or may not get it because
it describes.
Yeah, Southeast Asia.
Oh, okay.
So that may be a problem. That's one thing. Okay, if you register in Malaysia, it's only valid already. Your protection is only confined to Malaysia. It doesn't go across the region. Okay.
So someone in the Philippines can also start something called SEA Brand Consultancy.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
And you have no rights to stop the person from using it.
Unless you already are there, you have a business there and you've been using the mark there, then you might want to approach them and say, hey, something like that. But in terms of if you want to have like a very, very strong protection for your brand, say in Philippines, go to Philippines and register there. I mean, you don't have to literally go there.
Work with the IP.
Yes, work with
IP agent.
IP agent. They will be able to assist you to register your brand in the Philippines or in whichever country you want.
I see. Okay. Thank you. So there's another one. Dear Rebecca, let's say I have a design which I want to protect. Which to go for, IP or trademark? Can you please advise the differences?
Okay. Design. What kind of design are we talking about? Is it okay?
Product design.
There's a big confusion here. How should I put it? Okay, IP is basically, it refers to something that you create from the intellect. Okay, so it could be a book, it could be a piece of music, it could be a design, your brand name, okay, your logo when you draw it out. Everything comes from our intellect, right? So that
your brain, basically your brain power. Okay.
So in order to protect it under law, we have basically 4 types. That's the basic ones, which is trademark. Trademark protects the brand name. Trademarks protects the logo. Like, for example, this red, it looks like robot, but it's not robot. I remember Nick was telling me it's a red packet, right?
There's a story to it. Yes. I think for those who don't know, if you're listening to this, you wonder what is she talking about? She's talking about our Remote Studio logo that's on the top of the screen. That you see that robot with the 2 eyes, right? Yeah.
So that is the logo. Okay. So red box would be the brand name. Okay. So that is trademark. Okay. And tagline also under trademark. So the next branch of law that you could consider is industrial design. Industrial design basically protects the look and feel of your products or packaging, but this only applies to the aesthetic part, the beauty of it.
Okay.
It doesn't protect the functionality of it.
Okay. So that's a totally different thing.
It's a totally different thing.
No wonder it's so confusing. No wonder you need to talk to an IP agent.
for example, right, this
Okay.
mark, okay, they could file a design not on the mark itself, but the scale of it. It's a
Okay.
mermaid scale,
Yeah.
right? So if they want to file, they want to protect it, you could consider industrial design, the beauty, the aesthetic part of it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's design.
Yeah.
So the third branch is copyright. Now, copyright is it protects the artistic work of an author. For example, the book, the music, a piece of art, photograph, film. So all these falls under.
So like this is under copyright, right?
Copyright.
There's a book. It's a copyright. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And the last one is patent. Patent, it applies to inventions. And I would say patent is the most difficult to get or to apply for, because it has very, very strict requirements which you must satisfy. So basically, patent is just for invention. Something, especially in technology or in medicine. That's for. So Sufing was asking, you have a design. So may I know what kind of design are we looking at?
Yeah. Hazel, what kind of design? Actually,
Because trademark is also IP. It's a law. It's part of it's a branch of a law that protects the IP. So if you could clarify the kind of design that you have, then perhaps I could.
Does it make a difference whether it is a physical, as in like just say a pen, a design of a pen, versus a something that that you design on paper, like something that you draw? Does it have is there a difference between? No, right? It's just design, right? We talk about design when we talk about design of a pen, you say?
Yeah, but as long as it looks nice, it could be. It could.
Okay.
It could be a packaging. You know how these days, things comes in very beautiful packaging.
Yeah, very beautiful boxes.
For example, the Coca-Cola bottle. You know the shape like this.
Yeah.
That bottle, the shape is protected under industrial design.
So you can't be simply using that.
You can't be simply using that. That's why you don't see much
of that design.
Yeah, and also like the vehicles, the cars, the shape of the car is also under industrial design. Yeah. So
okay, so maybe we'll wait for Hazel to come back with what she thinks of is the design that she wants. Okay, so Malar says, Lordy, it's hard to come up with something generic and sensible. Yes, that's why, right? Sometimes when you get into it, it really is hard. Yeah. Okay, so that's why I wanted to bring Rebecca to talk about it, because a lot of us have these vague ideas what we can and cannot do.
Yes. The most important thing is do not use words or terms that describes your products or your services. Okay, that's rule number one. That's rule number
so
one.
we cannot be Kentucky Fried Chicken, right?
No.
So just remember that we cannot be Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Do not use words that describe your products or services. And number two, always do a search before you confirm your design. Have an agent to conduct a trademark search to make sure that you don't infringe another person's rights.
Okay. And that is what I also want to talk about, is that a lot of people, they get started, they get so excited, they start promoting, advertising everything, and maybe 2 years down the road, suddenly someone comes and say, hey, I think what you're doing is wrong because that thing, that name or that brand is actually used by me.
Yes.
Right? And then you've wasted all your efforts.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's true. So you will have to rebrand. And rebranding is very costly. It's very costly. And not just that, you may lose your clients. Because somehow
they think something happened to your company or something went wrong.
Yes. Correct. And somehow people, I feel, consumers, they may become very attached to a certain brand.
Yeah.
And the moment you change it, they don't like it, and that's it. They're not going to come back, no matter how
Yeah.
good the product.
So there's a lot of emotional attachment to a brand or the kind of business that they're used to patronize. Okay, so let's see. Okay, then Kaniza asks, patent has a lifespan too, is it not?
Yes.
Meaning it has an expiry date.
Yes, 20 years.
Okay, and after 20 years, what happened? Can we
No,
protect it?
It
No.
belongs to the public already.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So this also means that if you have a patent, it doesn't mean that it's yours forever.
Correct. So while it's still yours,
Yeah.
one thing
Maximize it.
yes, one thing about patent is that it will get you a lot of money.
But the process, I mean, is it also, I mean, like takes a year, 2
yeah,
years?
yeah. It takes a long time. 2-3 years, it's normal. But yeah, if you have an invention, you protect it well, you monetize it well, it will give you a lot of returns. Your ROI is very high, especially for patent. But of course, that is if your products or your thing is invention. Yeah, something new and all that. Yeah, and also if you're talking about monetizing, right? Patent, we talk about it, but also trademark. Not to left it out is if you're thinking about franchising, or if you have, if you look into your future and you think that, okay, I could be looking at licensing, I could be looking at franchising, all this before you could even go there, please protect your trademark first. That is why it's so important. Otherwise, people could easily grab it and go, and all your hard work will go down the drain.
Okay. So before we started answering questions, we were going down the criteria of what makes something trademarkable. Okay. So I think we covered 2. Are there any more? I'm sure there are more. 2 or 3. 3, yeah. Did we cover 3?
Okay. Another thing is, what have I covered?
Suggestive.
We talked about suggestive.
Common names, you can't do it, right? Common names is no. There's a descriptive.
Yes. Okay. So basically, if you're looking at the law, the act itself, right? What is registrable is name of an individual. For example, your name Krista. It could be a name of your company as well, like Redbox. So these are registrable, and also signature. What's that? The clothing line, the signature, for the men. Can you remember?
Which one? For the men?
Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
No, with the umbrella.
With
It's
umbrella.
A signature. Yeah, it's a signature.
Really?
Yeah, so signature can be a registrable trademark. Okay. And the third one is, like I said, it must be an invented word or term.
Okay. Like Google.
Like Google. Maxis is also an invented term. Also, the other one we talked about was having no direct reference.
Okay. To the product that you're selling.
Yes, to the product or services that you're selling. And the last one is distinctive mark.
And what is distinctive mark?
Okay, sorry. Okay, distinctive mark means there's two steps to it, 2 parts to it. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the first part is that it would not be a word which other traders would want to use. For example, Penang Char Kway Teow. It's not a distinctive mark because other traders would need that term to describe the business or to describe what they're selling.
I see.
Okay, so that's what we call inherently distinctive, meaning, other traders would not want to use the word.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I think Mala came out with it. Arnold Palmer.
Yes, Anna Palmer. Correct, Anna Palmer. That's right.
Oh, okay.
Name with umbrella logo. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So in the case of like business owners, so now that we know that, wow, okay, before we even get started, we need to really check
Yeah.
whether what we want to use is available and it's not used, registrable, and not used by someone else.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then we can only register it. Wouldn't this kind of like, how should I say, wouldn't it make this difficult for people who want to get started in business?
It will be more difficult if you don't do it right.
Okay. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the consequences of not doing it right.
Okay.
And do you have any stories of real life stories of things that didn't go right?
Sure. Imagine this. You have been using this brand name for 2-3 years, and suddenly one day, you receive a cease and desist letter, another person asking you to stop using it because the name that you're using is infringing his or her mark. So what do you do? Like I said, you have
court.
a brand.
Go to court. Can you go to court?
Yeah. But it's very expensive. So most of the time, it would be best. Okay, it depends on your entity as well.
Okay.
If you are if your corporation is big, you are wealthy like Google or Amazon. Yeah, sure, go to court, fight it out.
Yeah.
But if you are a startup or if you are SME, I don't think you would want to spend that kind of money because it's going to be very, very costly. And also, if you don't protect it, what happens if your competitor starts to copy your mark? Like I have a recent case. He has been selling this product in Penang Road for many years, since the father.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it food?
No. It's minyak angin.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since the previous generation and passed down to him and all that.
Yeah.
And what happened was one day he realized that other people are actually using his brand on similar products, but it's not his.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so imitation. And what happens was a lot of clients actually came back to him and actually blame him, like, hey, why isn't it working?
Okay.
It worked before. What happened? Why isn't it working? And he got so angry. He went around because he started like, no, my products are the same. It's the same product that I've been selling all these years. And what happened? So he did his own investigation. And then he found out that people are actually using his trademark, fix it on similar minyak angin. Okay. And of course,
but does it look exactly like his minyak angin? I mean, the packaging and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's not his.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's of no quality because he actually bought from the other guy and tested it out and do his own investigation. So he actually came to me and said, look, I want my trademark to be protected and I want to take action against these guys. So yeah, he did. That's what he did.
Wow. Okay. So that's a very localized case of it. Yeah. Well, in this case, what if the person who took his logo modified it? Would he still have, would he still be able to take legal action on a person? Just say he took a bit of his logo, but I don't know, maybe he took something out of it.
It's very common. It's very common. Okay. The thing is, we will look at similarity of the mark. So the main question you should ask yourself is, are the two marks so similar or confusingly similar that it will cause confusion in the minds of the buyer? Okay, are they likely to cause confusion? That's what the courts or that's what the registrar would actually think.
Okay.
So if, for example, right,
Yeah.
if the name, they still use the name, but
Yeah.
they just change the coloring of the trademark, or they just change a little bit of the logo. I would say it's very insignificant, the change. So in the minds of the consumer, when they see it, they would immediately associate to the other guy, the original owner. Okay, so that is the confusion I'm talking about. They would naturally assume that the one that they're seeing is of the original one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, we're not. You don't want to mislead the customers.
Yes.
So basically, a lot of this is like misleading the customers.
Yes. Yes.
So I want to show you Kaniza's comment. Trademarking at an early stage is a calculated risk a business owner or startup has to take if you think you're into something great and you have done your market study. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Totally agree. Yeah. Actually, many times I met startups who they are still in planning stage and all that. When I approach them and when I ask them, have you considered looking into your IP? You know, whether have you checked even your name, your trademark name are available to be used? And they will say, "Oh, I'll do that when I build up my business. Right now, my main concentration is product building."
Or even sales.
Yeah, but think about it this way: what's the use of your products if at the end of the day you are unable to sell it? You are unable to brand it out. Or worse, you've printed your mark on your product very nicely. And when you sell it, you get a letter and asking you to stop. It's going to be very costly. So all the things that you've printed, you have to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I want to ask you, what are some of the useful things like trademark experts like yourself know that you can share with maybe some simple strategies or simple tips? Like, okay, of course, one, do a search, right? You're talking about quickly do a search before you even get started.
Yep.
But what are other things? Are there other things that as business owners we should know about after we've done the search and all that? Like you say, you come up with something unique. So definitely you would have to do some other things other than that, right? Talking to the IP specialist.
Yeah. You okay, if you're talking about that, you are looking at various section of law, because you should also consider talking to your lawyers
Okay.
when you draft agreements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another important thing to always consider is make sure you have the right agreement with you when you meet your potential partners or distributors or dealers or even inventors, or if you commission somebody to do something, to work something for you,
Yeah.
make sure you have the right agreement. For example, one of the important agreement is the non-disclosure agreement. And also, if when you hire somebody to do work for you, design something for you, make sure that you have the agreement that states at the end of the day, all the IP rights vested will actually belonging to you, and not because, for example, if I ask you to build a website for me, you are the creator.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So by right, the copyright vests in you. Okay? So I want to make sure that I have the rights at the end of the day, and not you.
Mm.
So who, in terms of IP, right? The right will be with whoever that creates the thing.
Mm.
Okay. Or
Yeah.
for example, if I commission a branding company to design a logo or trademark for me, I want to make sure that at the end of the day, I am the owner of the brand and not the designer. So make sure you have the right agreement with you.
Okay.
Yeah. And also speak to IP consultant, because in a business or in your products and services, there are various, remember I talked about the 4 various branches of law relating to IP. So your products or services may not only strictly for trademark, may not only for patent. It could be an overlap. That could be an overlap.
Oh, okay. So it's not really very clear cut that it's a
Yes.
trademark or
Yes.
patent.
Correct.
Mm.
Correct. For example, just now she was asking me design.
Mm.
So could it be a trademark? Could it be an industrial design? What is it?
Mm.
So sit down with a consultant, identify what you have.
Okay.
Because in order to be well protected, you have to correctly, accurately identify and know what you have.
And then only decide how to protect it, right?
And take actions. No point if you know and you don't take actions, because
Yeah.
law is there to protect you, but if you don't take the initiative to do it, you will not be protected.
Okay. So now that we're talking about protecting and trademarking and all that, what are some of the baseline costs that we are looking at? If just say someone say, okay, I'm interested. This sounds like something I should do because I don't want later, down the road, someone uses my brand or logo or even name. So is there any how should we look at it in terms of how much do the person put aside for this kind of initial, I wouldn't say the entire thing, but the initial, just say trademarking a name?
It's hard to give you a ballpoint, because different agent will charge you differently.
Okay.
But
does it start from
more or less
yeah
between less than 3 or 3 to 4.
Okay, 3 to 4,000 ringgit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it won't be more if you're talking about Malaysia. If you were to file overseas, then of course it will be much higher.
Okay, because it's in that currency.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and like just now you mentioned the Madrid protocol.
Yes,
which is in Swiss franc.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have to convert. You have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just like only your currency. So if you do it other countries, you also have to think of budgeting for other countries.
Correct. Like in Singapore, you have to factor into the conversion rate of SGD and USD and all this. But like for example, in Malaysia, I think below 3K you should be able to get it. It depends on, like I said, depends on the agent.
Yeah. Okay. So we are having so much of fun that we're almost at the end of our 1 hour session.
Oh, is it already?
Yeah. Okay. So before we leave, I'm sure a lot of people who are watching right now, and even those who are going to watch the replay, they will have questions. They probably after they've listened to you, they probably have more questions, right? But before we go, what's one single takeaway that you want people watching this Facebook Live to remember from this entire 1 hour conversation? There are so many things we talked about. There are so many things we pinpointed, like you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. But what would it one thing, if you just had one thing to say to one person, a business owner, what would that be?
I would say do not neglect your IP, because they are your intangible asset. You might not see it as in physically, but that is what your business is all about, I would say. Because you look at Forbes listed, all those companies, what are you looking at? The brands.
Okay.
People
So
buy brands. Another company acquire brands. Not so much of technology usually. So do not think that it is not. Do not think that it's trivial. Do not think that it's not important. Yeah. So it's your intangible assets.
okay. So it means that get started properly.
Yeah. Start
Get
it right.
started the right way.
Start it
Yeah.
early. Start it right.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to let everyone know, if you want to carry on the conversation with Rebecca, find them on FB and Instagram, and of course their website, gordianip.com. And you can ask her questions. You can basically clarify your doubts, because this is not an easy topic. I mean, to me, I think it's totally so.
Out.
Yeah, I don't even a 1 hour. Maybe I need to bring you back for a second part of it. Maybe each Facebook live session we'll talk about. Okay, we'll talk about trademarks. Then we talk about industrial design. Then
Yeah.
we'll talk about copyright, and then we'll talk about patents. So
Because
we have
you are looking at the law itself.
yeah.
Okay, not just law, you're also looking at the cases, the past cases, the common law cases, the scenario, what the judges says, all these will affect your trademark registration actually.
Yeah.
Or any registration for the matter. So law, law is complicated, right? And it's a lot to read on if you look at the statutes and all that. So it's very hard to explain everything in one go.
Okay, before we go, there was actually a question from Vimi. Okay, so she wanted to ask this. Did the business take you to New Mexico? Intrigued by the geographical location for these specialities.
No. I moved here with my husband and my son because he was transferred from Penang to here, and that's why I'm here. So I am continuing with my Gordian, not giving up. No, not giving up yet. Because a lot of effort, sweat, and tears are put into it. So I'm still working on it. It's tough. It's definitely tough. But
because of the time zone, right?
Time zone, and also I'm not able to meet clients personally. And another thing is I won't be able to create the awareness that I used to. Remember? Yeah, giving talks and sharing and all this. Actually, all these are very important to our business.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people buy because they trust you, they see you, they hear you. So the fact that I am unable to do that in person, that makes it even harder. Yeah.
Especially for people who are like us in service businesses.
Yes.
Whereby they need to be educated before they even know what they're supposed to buy.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things out there, right? So many things that they have heard of from friends, from family, from well-meaning friends sometimes, but maybe it's not the correct information. So I think that's also part and parcel of why maybe you triggered that also for me to talk about why I want to do this also. So our Facebook Live series is basically to bring on people to share about what they know. Because sometimes it's hard for you to get to ask a question. Sometimes it may not be in the right context, but if I bring people on and they are talking about their work, their business, what they do, it's easier to jump in and ask a question and say, hey, I got this question. Or later, like some of the people watching our Facebook Live right now, they want to connect with you. They can easily reach out to you, and that allows you to carry the conversation further if they want to know more.
Yes.
So that's the beauty of, that's the
I
beauty
really
of
appreciate this. And really thank you, Krista, for having me here, because I really miss doing this. Tell you honestly, I really miss sharing what I know.
Yeah.
I really miss it. And when I started back in Penang, IP is people are clueless about what IP. If you're talking about in KL, people more or less they know.
Yeah.
As compared to in Penang. When I talk about IP, it's like, what? IT? You do IT? I said, no, intellectual property. Oh, you sell houses. No. I get that all the time. So yeah, so I have to
But
create.
it's a good indicator. It indicates that you need a lot more awareness sessions, a lot
Yes,
more educating
yes,
people.
yes. And I actually miss doing that. I miss doing that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad. I'm glad that we got you on. I'm glad
Yeah.
that
Thank you
you
so
managed to
much.
share some.
Thank you so much.
I told you I had prepared myself. I had a long list of questions I wanted to ask,
And you
but
didn't
we
ask
will.
me. You
Yeah,
can't
but
believe
we were just touching the
it.
topic, right? Superficially, just talking about
Okay.
little bits here and
Okay.
there. But anyway, for those of you who have been watching it, let me know if you want me to bring Rebecca on again to talk about a specific part. I think there's so many parts to it that we
There
can
are
talk about.
many.
Maybe
Yeah.
I can bring it on back later on.
Sure.
There's a lot of this kind of things that people need to know, and I think it's
Mm.
important for them. Okay,
Mhm, mhm.
so any final words before we go?
Mm.
No.
It's IT, not IT.
Okay, it's IP, as in
IT.
I and P. P
Yes,
for Penang, right? Not
yes,
IT.
yes.
Okay,
And
so
I don't sell houses. Yeah.
so thank you all. So Kaniza says, protect your IP. Thank you, Rebecca. Great talk.
Thank you,
Thank you, Kaniza. And then
everyone.
Mala says, thanks for having Rebecca on. Okay, yes, thank you, Mala. I have a lot of fun also. I mean, I bring up people I know, people I don't know, people I hardly know sometimes, but I think it's always fun,
It
talking.
is. I'm enjoying myself.
Oh, and Kaniza already said, yes, please do a few more sessions,
Okay.
Rebecca.
Or maybe, we could compile questions, or what are the topics that you want me to address?
Yeah, that could be.
Because
Like,
it's very
yeah,
wide. It's very wide. So maybe it will be more helpful to whoever interested, we could narrow it down further. What do you think?
yeah,
Just feedback. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
always a game. Yeah.
And and Hazel says, thanks, Rebecca and Krista, but we still didn't know what design you wanted to protect.
Yeah. Oh, maybe you could share with me.
Yeah, maybe you could PM her. You can
Yeah,
PM Rebecca and tell her what kind of design. Maybe sometimes the design is not that convenient to talk about the design or something. I don't know. Could be that. But
actually,
I'm
be very
mm,
careful what you reveal. That's very good.
yeah.
Be very careful of what you reveal, because, like I said, we haven't talked about it. Like for pattern and for design,
Mm,
it must be new. One of the requirements is that your design or your invention must be new. So
mm.
you're doing good. You're doing good. You didn't review.
So she actually knew what she was not supposed to tell on
Good
a
job.
public
Good job.
public platform like this.
Yes.
Okay. So
Just
thank
PM me.
you.
It's okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for a
Thank
very
you.
engaging, a very interesting session today, even though it's like a little unusual at 11 a.m. A lot of people in Malaysia are working, but I hope that they will catch the replay later on. And usually that's what most people do. They will come
Yeah.
back and catch the replay.
Sure.
And thank you so much to all of you who have joined us today and who have enjoyed our little session here. And if you have any further questions, please remember to connect with Rebecca
Yep.
on these platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and at their website, and learn more, because I learned a lot more when I went to the website. They actually have very interesting case stories, right? Case studies of some interesting things that happened overseas and all that. So go and read them up. So thank you once more, everyone. It has been a pleasure. And my next session will be, because some of the people who catch us, sometimes they're not too sure how often we get online. My sessions are every 2 weeks, so every fortnight. And the next one will be on the 10th September, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 10th September. And I'm bringing on someone who is a owner of a music school.
Oh,
So I want to
I
ask
think
her
I
some
know.
questions.
I think I know.
You think you know, huh?
I think I know. Is it
Okay.
Sunara?
Hmm? Is it what?
Is
No,
her?
no, no, no.
No?
There's this person that I wanted to talk to her. She's a young entrepreneur. She runs her own music school.
Oh,
So
I
I
know
wanted to.
also. She's a
You
very
know too.
She plays
Okay.
piano.
And then there's Okay, this is a client of mine, Uncle Cor. I call him Uncle Cor. Uncle Cor is a client of mine, a website client of mine, and he says, "Great sharing."
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to see you here, Uncle Cor. He's an amazing person. So, okay, so thank you very much. Let us not be too chong hey. I don't get too long with it. Okay, so thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen who have been with here today. And we hope to see you in 2 weeks' time. And please share and tag your friends. And for those questions we have not answered, Rebecca will probably jump back into the comments and answer them later on. Okay, so thank you. Have a great day, everyone. And have a great Merdeka weekend.
I'm not celebrating. I don't
celebrate. Celebrate it in New Mexico.
I don't have holiday.
Okay, so selamat Hari Merdeka to all Malaysians, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.
Bye.